10 days into 2017, and the New York Knicks cannot keep track of their superstars. Francis Maxwell, I took you're a lot angrier than I am about this. I'm more shocked because this has to do with Derrick Rose and the fact that he was missing in day and age where I find it remarkable that anybody can go missing. I mean, we're talking about we have an Amber Alert system in our country and other alert systems where people get found in seconds, and they are not amongst some of the most recognizable people in the country. But Derrick Rose went missing. I'm going to quickly run through the tweets so everyone has context, and then Francis, you get to teach the youngins.
Teach them what.
Teach them some important notes about being humble and understanding and understanding the position you're in. So 8 through 13, we're going to go right in order. It started off with a New York Knicks PR tweet. My God, that's a tough job. Brandon Jennings is starting tonight versus the Pelicans. Derrick Rose is not with the team. Okay. We move forward. Adrian Wojnarowski, as you would expect, sources say Rose is unhappy with fourth quarter benching on Friday in Milwaukee. But if it's unclear if that's impacted its absence. Keep it here for just a second. It's at 6:06 p.m. All the reports from all of the beat writers said Derrick Rose normally shows up around 5:30, 2 hours before game time or tip-off, which is 7:30. So it's 6:06, and they're thinking maybe he's just late. Next tweet. Derrick Rose attended the Knicks morning shoot-around in Westchester, according to Rose, so we started to find out that he was there. That morning, he was with the team. So Rose doesn't show up for the game, has not informed team officials. Nobody knows where Derrick Rose is until afterwards, where Joakim Noah was asked by a bunch of reporters, and Frank Isola from New York Daily News tweeted this out, kind of letting the world know that he's okay. Joakim Noah tells reporters that he spoke to Derrick Rose after the game, says he's okay, does not elaborate further. Next tweet, there are strong indications that Derrick Rose returned to his hometown of Chicago, and then later, and lastly, according to sources, Rose told the team that he had a family situation from Ramona Shelburne. Lastly, that was the last one. He's back at practice this morning. He was back at the Knicks facility this morning. Francis, what happened?
I don't know. I tried to dig a little deeper, try to figure out what went on, right? And all I seen, right, is I read the forums and I read what people. It's just all hearsay at the moment. No one really knows what's going on. There's apparently some family issues they had to take care of, some issues internally in the camp that he didn't necessarily agree with. And then people are already making excuses like, well, we don't know what's going on. And that's right, we don't know what's going on. But can we stop putting athletes in this own bracket where they're suddenly allowed to just not handle things the way everyday people are supposed to handle things in real life?
That's his job.
I don't come to my job. I don't tell you you're Dan. No, it's fine. You guys can figure it out. Yeah. All right. 3 hours after we're shooting. Yeah, by the way, I had some issues. My bad. Forgot to tell you about it. If the issues come out that they're so serious, which we don't know, they could be, people will make excuses for that. And I understand that these athletes are human beings and things go on in their life. But the common courtesy to let your team know that, hey, I might not actually be able to play tonight, you can start to work your game plan, letting them know what an hour, or just not letting them know at all, means that your team, who's already a struggling team, have to adjust. They have to figure out new ways. They've already set up a plan to play against the Pelicans with Derrick Rose and that team.
Of course.
They've practiced with Derrick Rose and that team. It's just so unprofessional. And people will just automatically go to the defensive side in their mind because they like Derrick Rose, because he's an attractive player. This is not a guy with a clean track record. This is not someone that you put in this category of pristine professional that upholds everyone around him in the franchise he plays with. No, he's not. So if he doesn't let anyone know, and it's found out later that the Knicks organization overall are embarrassed, they feel that they are being hard done by because they were not able to locate this guy. They had to find out if he was alive and well. Imagine having that go through your mind when you're trying to work out and prepare for a game.
What's extremely infuriating about it is it takes, and it really does take all of 2 seconds, and that's not an exaggeration, to send a text message to your coach, to a team official, to Joakim Noah, to say, won't be at game, family emergency.
That's it.
Which, by the way, then the whole story changes. That whole story just becomes Derrick Rose informed Joakim Noah at 6:06 p.m., an hour and a half before game time, he had a family emergency to attend to. That's it. That's it. That's how that story changes. But when you don't take responsibility or hold yourself accountable or the Knicks don't hold themselves accountable. And my anger isn't towards Derrick Rose. My anger is entirely and understandably, and people need to realize this, is towards Phil Jackson. Because Phil Jackson does think that he gets to be a puppet master in full control except when it falls on his decisions. And in this precise example, Phil Jackson decided to leave Jeff Hornacek to answer questions in a press conference that Jeff Hornacek has no business answering. It is the GM's responsibility, it is the president of basketball operations' responsibility, it is the VP of operations, all of those, which Phil Jackson so wonderfully calls himself those roles, decided to disappear. Exactly like Derrick Rose. Did not field questions about Derrick Rose and left Jeff Hornacek to deal with the media shitstorm. So while the Knicks organization continues to implode, an embarrassment to the NBA, an embarrassment to basketball in New York City, and something that anybody with a brain had the foresight to see. It's little moments like this that kind of just prove the whole. The Knicks are a super team. No, they weren't. It's funny. It really is funny to think that way, and it's even funnier to think that a team putting out on the floor and getting blown out by the Pelicans. The Pelicans. Blown out. Oh, Derrick Rose is better. The Knicks are better with Derrick Rose on the floor. They wouldn't have gotten blown out by the Pelicans. No, this just proves the point. The Knicks are a bad organization run by a bad GM, run by an even worse owner, and cannot put even together one straight season of respectable play. And they're going to go, it's about Derrick Rose, but this whole thing. It is infuriating to see such ignorance in terms of accountability.
Yeah.
You see the best organizations in basketball and why they succeed, and very few times, it's just because they have talent on the floor. It's systemic. It's entirely on the whole, and they need to get that in order. And before they do anything, or they want respect from anybody else in the league.
And the two of them that you're given there with the blame are exactly in the same category. Their name carries so much weight, so therefore they believe that I don't need to answer your questions. I don't need to even let you know whether I'm going to make it to work today. He can answer your questions in terms of Phil Jackson. He should have came out because he's the one that stood by this decision. He's the one that basically has come forward as the man who's making all the decisions behind the scene. You put your neck on the line for Derrick Rose. He doesn't show up for a game. You better have something to say about it. You better protect your organization, protect the other players that are putting themselves in front of the camera to try and play a game that they weren't prepared for. Because they went in ill-prepared against a team that are a bad organization who made you look even worse. This is where the problem occurs because I don't want to deflect blame away. I think Derrick Rose needs to take so much accountability for this. You need to at least...
Should be suspended for a game.
You don't even acknowledge your teammate. It's a disrespect for your teammates. If I'm his teammate, I'm pissed off. If I'm anyone who's associated with the Knicks, I'm pissed off. And if you're Phil Jackson, you should be pissed off. But again, he proves that regardless to him.
Well, here's the comparison I was going to make, and people are going to think this is all too political, but I'm really looking at this at a completely surface level. Phil Jackson's personality at this point in his career is extremely similar to the president-elect of the United States. He tweets out his engagement breakup with Jeannie Buss, which is not the world's business, nor does anybody actually care. He has very strange views towards LeBron James and a use of a word that people he was directing it towards felt offended by it, but he doesn't see that. And he continues to just kind of disappear when it matters and also make his point via a social media presence or when he feels comfortable by it.
On things that don't actually matter.
And that matters. So again, I'm not... What people need to understand about that comparison, it's just surface level. It's just a surface level comparison, that's it. But it's becoming extremely annoying, and it's becoming childish. Phil Jackson's 11 rings that preceded him do not give you any extra leeway for running an organization into the ground, which I would say Phil Jackson did, except we were already at rock bottom before we got Phil Jackson in place. He's made one good decision, one, throughout his entire process, tenure at the Knicks, and that's drafting Porzingis. Good job. Your one decision does not make up for the 20 ridiculous moves you've made as making the Knicks continuing laughingstock of basketball. And people say, I'm a Knicks hater. You don't like Derrick Rose. You never respected Derrick Rose. No, I'm not the one that's stuck in 2011. End of rant. End of story. The Knicks are a joke. They will continue to be a joke, and I'm not somebody who is going to settle for a first-round playoffs exit. Oh, wait. We're not going to get that either. Yes, Phil has to go. Melo can technically stay.
Phil and Derrick to go? Take them both?
No, I mean, here, the one thing that actually I'm relieved by in this, the only, like, shining light I have from this, what is it called? Not shining light.
The light at the end of the tunnel?
Not light at the end of the tunnel.
The
light. The beacon. A beacon of light.
Beacon of hope.
The only beacon of light, beacon of hope is that this is the type of move that Derrick Rose did that can pretty much guarantee he's not going to get re-signed for 5 years, and that's the best thing that
maybe
could
that,
happen.
and that's what I didn't want to go into another point, but maybe there is some substance to the fact that maybe he's just looking for an exit strategy. Maybe he doesn't want to play for the Knicks.
That's one really poor way to handle it.
That, of course it is, but if you want an exit, there's your exit. I'm not even going to count.
Exit, Brexit, love Brexit.
Don't say the Brexit word. In my heart, joking.
Comment below why all the Knicks lovers are just going to comment how wonderful Derrick Rose is and how wonderful of a player is, and I don't respect him and his knees are fine, and Jason, he's been playing so well. Okay. Like, favorite, subscribe. You can tweet all your anger at me at JasonRubin91, at Francis_Maxwell. Hold your players accountable. We'll see you next time.